Hi everybody, thanks for joining this live demo today. My name is Josh Devani, I'm the head of sales here at Thrive. I'm also joined by Danielle Hamilton, who's our Chief Customer and Product Officer, and one of our customers, Christian Chow, who's a Senior Director for Learning and Development at Care Corner, an NGO based in Singapore. So thanks both for joining. So the session is probably going to last about 30 minutes. It's going to include some slides on what the Popup LXP is, an introduction from Christian on the Care Corner and what they're doing with this, and then jumping briefly into the LXP itself and showing some core functionality and how it's used. So to begin with, I'll pass over to Danielle, who'll just introduce what the Popup is, and then we'll get started. Over to you, Danielle.
Thanks, Josh. So just a bit of background as to why we've created this Popup LXP. So obviously with the current situation, people are working from home, people are dispersed across the globe, and it's so much more important now for people to connect with each other. So for some of our clients, for example, working with Sky at the moment, all their retail stores are closed, and so they've got this great opportunity for people to actually do learning and development. Even if people are on furlough, the one thing they can do is training and development. So rather than necessarily think it's a negative thing, people are starting to approach it with saying, well, this is a great gap in time, people haven't got anything to do, let's give them this great chance to actually learn and train. But people need sites to do that, and often the case is they don't necessarily have a platform, but actually it's more the content. So it might be that I've got an LMS, but we haven't got enough content for people to actually consume on there. So what we've done is put together this Popup LXP, which is can be turned around in a week, and it's essentially our LXP, but it's filled with curated content, our content, abstract content, and Anders Pink content for you to use. So it's kind of like a magical box almost that your employees can access training during this odd period. It can also be used really strongly as a communications tool. So some of our clients are actually using this just for comms, to make sure they can get out messages. So you can see even the screenshot here is from one of our clients. They're actually using it to push out stuff around COVID, updates to the business, and just to make people still feel a bit more connected, a bit more human, like there's someone out there and they're not completely alone. So that's the background of where we came from.
Perfect. Thanks, Danny. And that leads us to Care Corner. So Christian and I have actually known each other for a few years, but came into contact recently via our partner Viventis in Asia. And Care Corner are now using Thrive, or about to use Thrive and the LXP. So maybe over to you, Christian, and just sharing how Care Corner are going to use the platform, and then some background on Care Corner as well.
Okay, yeah, thanks Josh and Danielle. So I think like what was shared, Care Corner is actually a non-profit social service provider based here in Singapore. We've been around for 38 years. And I guess I'm not sure who controls the slides. If you can go to the next slide. We've been in operation for 38 years. And just to give you a sense of the nature of the organization, when we started 38 years ago, it was just like a few group of friends, 3 individuals coming together, wanting to do something for the community. But over the course of the 38 years, we've now operate out of 33 different centers. We have over 400 employees, largely social workers, counselors, therapists. At the same time, we also have a lot of volunteers, right? So close to 2,000 volunteers. If we go into the next slide, in terms of the areas of work, we do actually quite a wide range of services. So we do services for children. In fact, I was told that I think the youngest beneficiary that we have helped was actually a child 2 months old, and was found in a very vulnerable situation, and our social workers were able to help that particular child. And then we provide services for youths, families, counseling, all the way to senior citizens, right? And when we talk about senior citizens, we work with both active seniors as well as seniors who are maybe a bit more frail and need more attention and support. So this is a bit of the background of Care Corner, just to give you a sense. And so while we're not considered large by commercial standards, but from a social service provider, we are fairly large and then operating in quite a dispersed geographical, spread within Singapore. Though of course some might say Singapore is actually very, very small, but still they operate out of different offices, and so that's the nature of the organization. So sometime last year, in July, we actually started on our 3-year transformation journey, and the intent behind that journey is to move from being what we call a multi-service provider, and as you can see, we provide multiple services to different groups, to one that's a lot more integrated and community-centric, which is really the next slide. So that's the kind of like the direction that we're heading as an organization, and we started that journey last year in July. So when COVID-19 hit us earlier this year, we actually just entered phase 2 in our transformation journey. And what happened in the earlier part of our journey was we did a lot of work in just building momentum for change and for people to get excited and involved in this journey. So when COVID-19 hit us, just as we were entering into the second phase where we were going to start working on different projects, I think besides the other questions that I had about, how would this impact our beneficiaries, our clients, and our community, being the person that is, in a sense, responsible for the transformation effort in the organization. Of course, the question also came, to me was like, how would this impact our transformation journey, right? And so the questions I had in my mind was, through this COVID-19 situation, how can we keep our people connected and engaged during this period? And the challenge about this period is that we don't really have a good sense when this would end, right? I mean, if I know that this would end by May, we would have plans, or we could just say that, okay, let's put our plans on hold for the next few weeks, but we will continue, come June. But the fact of the matter is that we really don't have a sense of, how this would end and whether it would last months or even into next year. So I think with that in mind, we had to ask ourselves, like, through this entire period, how do we still maintain connection and engagement with our people? So that was the first question. And the second question I had was, how can we turn this unexpected event actually into an opportunity for our transformation journey? And I think it has been encouraging, and in some ways, like, it has actually helped accelerate certain aspects of our transformation journey. So that's something that was on my mind, and it was then that with those few things in mind, that was when actually I saw an email from Thrive, and they were offering the LXP pop-up. So quickly got in touch with my friends for Aventus and Josh. And I think it was just maybe 3 days later, after the email, that we had a call, right? Josh kind of walked me through a bit of the site and the features. And I think it was within a week that we got everything all done, and we had our project kickoff. And that happened on a Friday. And just over the weekend, we just got the site ready, and I think now we are in that sense good to go. We've launched the site to all our managers first as part of getting that readiness and that buy-in, and we are planning to launch this to all our employees sometime the middle of next week. So we are doing some other things in preparation for it. So the site is ready. So that part is sorted. It's more now for us in terms of our own communications and how we want to engage our people, so that when they start experiencing the site, you have a good first impression. Mm-hmm. It's been the journey so far. I think overall the experience has been great. The fact that the platform is so easy to use, and so easy for us to start curating different learning assets, creating a learning pathway that is catered to our needs. I think that has been something that I really, really value, that flexibility to, very quickly put together a series of learning paths and programs. So I think with that, maybe I'll leave Josh to share a bit more about the LXP pop-up, and then I'm happy to take questions later.
That's perfect. Thanks so much, Christian, for sharing that with everybody. And yeah, it's been a very quick journey. So it's exciting to see you go live soon. So maybe if I just actually jump online and go to the desktop version. Hopefully you can all see this now. This is actually Care Corner's live platform that we've been working with them to build. So you can see already they've applied the branding, created banners, added content already from the CEO, created content both internally and curated external content. So in a matter of a week, they've already built this site. And I think, Christian, obviously we've given you the support through the workshops, but yourself and Natalie and your team have actually done most of this yourself, right?
Yes, I would say yes. Yeah, we would take full credit. I think it's really easy to use, and I think we just had a half an hour call with Georgia for her to just show us where the resources are, and I think it was just very easy, just playing around the platform. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'll just give everybody a quick tour of the high level functionality and what's included in this. It is the same LXP that a normal customer who uses LXP gets. We're just accelerating the deployment of this through a series of workshops and curated content, both from our own library, which we have, and as Pink, which is a great tool to curate external content. And then also our partner Get Abstract, whereby our UK clients can access that as well, which is 20,000 plus bucks. So they get a lot of content straight out of the box with this, as well as being able to upload their own content. So I'll begin with some of the kind of core functionality. You'll see inside the platform at the top, Care Corner have called it top picks. Some customers call it something different, but that's a nice way to pin content to the top. And in these very strange times that we're in at the moment, our customers are pinning to the top relevant business communications, a CEO update or some new learning which people need to go through, maybe to work from home, that type of thing. So it just allows you to promote the most relevant content to everybody. And from a user perspective, this plus icon at the top right hand side of the page allows users to upload PowerPoints, PDFs, that style of content, as well as share external content, whether it be a TED Talk or a YouTube video, as well as post questions to create the kind of forum and discussion aspects of this. So, when clients are getting started, they will use both user-generated content to drive engagement, but also just allow people to share their own best practice, tips, and business communications. As you can see there, you've got your CEO sending a message out to the staff and updating them on what's going on, which is great. A lot of the content as well will be structured into pathways. So this can be used as a learning system as well, and predominantly is. If I click into this pathway here, Christian, you've designed a working from home pathway. You've curated content, it seems, from our library, which is brilliant to see, which we have a remote working content library, as well as external content, how to use Teams if you're using Teams as well. And you've just built this pathway yourself, I guess, to allow people to work through best practice and learning on how to work from home, because I guess this is very new for a lot of people in your organization. How much content, Christian, would you say you're building for this versus curating in terms of bringing content into this platform?
I think when you say build, as in starting from scratch, I would say right now it's zero. So a lot of the content is curated. It's curated, from what's already available on the Thrive LXP platform, as well as other resources that YouTube, TED Talks, So
a lot of our content is included in this. So this is an example. This is our self-care content. So included in the pop-up itself is 120 plus modules which we've designed. The range in terms of topics, you've got everything from mental health, well-being, working from home, digital skills, and much more. So all of this content can be curated and then added into pathways or just shared as individual assets for people to consume at home. So, if you had to deploy a platform in a week and create lots of content, it would take, it wouldn't be possible. You would have to just, work hours and hours and hours to produce all this style of content. So this just comes out of the box. I guess what you've done as well is then curate content into the Discover section at the top of the page, where you can actually group content together. And I've seen here as well, you haven't just curated content on the topics that we have, you've also built new topics in things like counseling, future ready skills, which I guess is your more operational skills that people need to do their jobs at Care Corner. So I guess once you move out of the pop-up, then you're going to start to use this as both a communication platform to keep people updated, but then as your core foundation platform for learning as well. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. So I think the plan is to use this as a way to also accelerate some of the transformation efforts that we're trying to do. So this is our way of trying to direct people's attention to the way we want people to start developing certain skills, and professional capabilities.
That's great. And then in terms of some of the other functionality, I won't go through it all because we haven't got the time. But you have the aspect of filter content here. So when users enter the platform for the first time, they'll be asked 2 questions around what they want to learn and also what skills they have. And that will start to dictate the content that people see in the site. So it's highly personalized in terms of machine learning and recommendation of content so that people get to see the most relevant content to them based upon their job role at Care Corner. And this is quite clear in our customer sites as well. So like Deciem here, who we did a webinar with the other week, they're running all their content through this for learning and comms. They're actually running all their events through this as well, which is a great way to see our event functionality be used. So now they're running all their events virtually. So running live streams and webinars to do remote training because all their employees are working remotely now as well. So I guess in time as well, you might start to leverage events inside this as well. Doing live streams as well. Were you doing events before this in terms of just classroom training? Is that how you were handling classroom events and that type of thing?
So that's something that's also new for us. I think we've been fairly traditional, a lot of classroom, face-to-face training. So now we've actually, one of the opportunities that COVID has, in a sense, created for us is learning to be a lot more comfortable with, online learning, blended learning. So this is a function that we definitely plan to use. In fact, I think we are working on what we call We Learn Wednesdays. So every Wednesday, we're going to create learning events as a community. So We Learn Wednesdays is something that we're working on starting from next week. Yeah.
Perfect. Sounds good. So yes, I'm going to leave it there in terms of the functionality. Ultimately, it's branded to every organization. We'll work with you to get all of the curated content in from our own library, from Anders Pink, which curates content from free sources around the web. And then you will also have Get Abstracts for UK-based customers as well, where you will access those books inside the platform as well. You'll be able to build learning plans to allow people to work through these with assessments and quizzes. You'll be able to manage events through this, so live streaming events to support your remote workers as well. And then most importantly, I think at this time as well, is pushing out messages from senior leaders in the business so they can update their employees on what's going on, give them some security and comfort despite all the uncertain times as well. So I'm going to pause there and now we'll switch into Danielle and we'll talk around the implementation process and how that works for customers. Over to you, Danielle.
Thanks, Josh.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, here we go again.
There we go.
Back one, there we go. Thank you, Josh. So as Josh said, the implementation process is really short. We can turn around in a week. So we tend to get the site set up within about a day or 2, and that's a branded site for you. So as long as you've got your brand guidelines, we can use a website, we can set that up for you. And give as many people access as you like on your team. The first step is to have a kickoff call. So that's with your customer success manager who'll look after you during the journey. And that's really just a time to introduce ourselves and also to go through some of the key tools we're going to use and the resources that will be available to you during the project. So that's kickoff. Then we also we'll continue to build the LXP out. So it comes automatically with the front page configured, the Discover page configured. So you don't need to spend time playing around with the tiles and images and that sort of thing. It's all done for you. However, if you want to change it, you absolutely can. Been super impressed with Christian and the Care Corner team because we gave them all the stuff at the front, and 2 days later the site had totally changed. And they just figured everything out, which was really, really impressive and really encouraging for us as well that the site is so easy to use. So it was really good to see. And then we'll also do a tour with you on your LXP. So this is normally a sort of 2-hour workshop, obviously virtual at the moment. And we'll just talk you through the main functionality. So we're really focusing on how to get your users into the site, how to set up the feeds for Get Abstract and Anders Pink, and obviously how to use some other key features of the site. So it's really nice and light just to get you started And as I said, you can just take all our support and just go straight away, or you can make changes if you want to as well.
Okay.
So in addition to the initial workshops with your customer success manager, you will also have access to Thrive Tribe. So Thrive Tribe is our online site of all our clients together in a community. So you have access to lots of different L&D professionals to chat about different things if you want to. But also that's where we have all our resources. So we have all the how-to videos on there. We have example site layouts, a lot of campaign resources as well. So for example, if you want to run a campaign around remote working and you don't have any content on that area, or banners and graphics and that sort of thing, we actually have all that for you. So we've created a huge amount of content and curated content that you can just drop into the site, put a banner in. You don't need to have your graphic skills to do that, which is great, particularly for someone like myself. And also some launch materials. So if you do want to do a bit of a snazzy mini launch, then we've actually got little videos and teaser trailers and that sort of thing you can use just to really help you and not have to, as Josh said earlier, reinvent the wheel and start from scratch for everything.
Okay.
And yeah, and then finally launch, obviously. So that's a case of pushing out your communications, and we'll be there to hold your hands. Once you go live, then you've also got weekly calls with your CSM just to check in on how it's going, and they'll give you advice around engagement and anything that you need help with along the way.
Perfect. And then into the commercials, which is obviously very important for this. What we decided to do is discount the cost of the LXP to support organizations at this difficult time. So we charge £8,000 per year or £800 per month, so flexible from a commercial model perspective. It includes the branded site, the workshops and time in that first week to get you up and running, all the onboarding resources that you would need to actually learn how to use the site, so you don't just log in and don't know what to do. It includes the catalogue of our 120 micro learning modules around remote working, mental health, digital skills, etc. Get Abstract and the 20,000 books for our UK customers, and Anders Pink, which allows you to curate content from external sources around the web. So essentially, we just discounted the solution just to support organizations accelerate the digital transformation that they need to go through to support more remote workers at this time. So I'm going to end there. Thanks, Danielle and Christian, for taking us through that. It's much appreciated. We're just going to go to some questions that people may have, I suspect mainly for Christian, and then we can see what we get. So 1 second. People might be a bit shy. So Christian, the question is, what tools did you have before for employees in terms of digital tools? Did you have any tools? Do you have any kind of online tools for people to collaborate?
Yeah, so we do. We're actually using Office 365. Okay. So tools like Yammer, they exist, a SharePoint site. But I think what we were looking for was a place where we could organize curated learning content. So I think that was what we were looking at, and that's what Thrive was able to provide. I think we had also explored some other learning tools or learning platforms, but I think the one that really sold us on Thrive is just the ease of getting up and running, right? Because we have this opportunity now, with people having to work from home. Like I said earlier, we don't know how long this would last. But while that is happening, we want to make sure that we were able to respond very, very quickly, with this situation. So I think that was one of the big reasons why we went on Thrive, and the fact that we were able to get the site up, in just a few days is a testament to that.
That's great. Thanks for that. We have another question from Andrew around, does Thrive support live streaming like Zoom? I guess most of our customers use our event management tool to promote the events internally, include pre-learning and post-learning, and then include a hyperlink out to something like Zoom, and then launch the event from there. But they'll use it to track attendance and promote kind of pre and post learning to create blended programs. So we don't have Zoom-like technology. We would just integrate with best of breed solutions like Zoom. Another question here, Christian, that I've got is, what obstacles did you see when selecting a new solution? Did you receive any pushback from perhaps your CEO or other people around not to do this? Or it sounds a little crazy to launch a platform in 1 week. So did you have many challenges around that?
I think, to be honest, we have a very supportive CEO and management team, and largely because, like I shared earlier, we are on a transformation journey, right? So, the first phase of the work was a lot of stakeholder engagement preparation. So, when this solution, in a sense, was presented, it just fitted, within the direction that we are heading, so didn't get a lot of pushback there. But I think for me, the main, I wouldn't say challenge, but the main adventure right now is looking at how we can get our people excited, engaged in the platform. Because I think the platform is there, the content is there. It's just working through the mindsets of people in wanting to start engaging on a digital platform. So I think that for us is it's really the people side, the people aspect of the work that is going to be the one that would challenge us, I guess, the most. Yeah.
Okay. And I've got another question around what resources from the Thrive library will you use the most, do you think? I don't know if you've thought about that question yet. Can you kind of understand like what your employees are really needing at this time? Have you done like surveys or anything?
So to be honest, because we have to turn things around so quickly, we didn't do like a survey to sense what people need. But what we do know is that we needed to provide help for people as they make that transition to working from home. So I think those are things that we know of. We don't need to survey people to know that transition in having to work from home is going to be a big one for majority of employees. The other one, of course, is just taking care of their mental well-being. As they have to deal with all these different adjustments. So there are some things that we know they need that we can already include in the content. But that said, I think what we'll pay attention to is that once we have them on board, we'll monitor the kind of behavior and the reception to it. And then, of course, we'll be having different ways to get some feedback from people. So we will evolve the content, which we should. But right now, at this point in time, I think we're quite clear what we need to offer to people. Yeah.
That makes sense. You can learn and adapt from the data based upon what happens and how the launch goes. And then another question is, what's the roadmap look like? So for this, you've launched to managers and get some feedback with them, then to the wider population. And then will you start to kind of maybe integrate Thrive with other platforms or technologies? Like what's your roadmap from a digital transformation?
Yeah. So I'll be open and share. And I think I shared this with Josh that we do have a longer term plan. And the longer term plan is to integrate our learning platform with our overall employee HR platform. And we are paying attention to performance management. And when we talk about performance management, I'm not referring to appraisals and ratings and stuff like that, but really the entire idea of how we help enable people to perform at a higher level and provide the kind of clarity, the kind of engagement with their manager. So we are paying attention to those things, and we see then learning as being a key and supportive element in managing high performance, right? So that's where we need to look at how the learning platform will integrate with our overall performance management platform, which is part of HR. So that's something that we're going to have to do in the midterm, like in the next 12 months. But for now, I think just the flexibility that Thrive offers us, before having to make all the different considerations, around technology investment, I think this investment right now, at least for the next 12 months, for us is a clear one. Yeah, it is a no regret kind of a decision for us, and then we can use this time to also assess how we can possibly integrate the Thrive Learning platform with our other HR related platforms. Yeah.
Okay. So you're basically building out kind of a HR ecosystem which will combine both learning, performance management, and other tools for all employees to go to. That's nice.
That's right. Yeah.
I guess I've got a personal question, actually. I guess, you've worked in the industry for a very long time and you've probably worked with a lot of platforms. Why wouldn't you have just gone with a more traditional LMS solution for this deployment? Just out of interest more than anything.
So I before joining the nonprofit, which is when I got to know Josh, I was working with one of the large local banks. So I think there's a room for an LMS with all the different reporting tools and administration aspects. But I think for me, why Thrive was really about the agility, the flexibility, the speed. And I think especially when we are operating in an uncertain, and in my case as an organization, anything digital right now is for us still quite new because we are fairly traditional as an organization. So I think the flexibility in the platform allows us to learn while doing something, rather than having things all planned out and then having the so-called the perfect series of solutions before we get started. So I think the way I think you have arranged the commercials, the way the site has been designed, just the timeliness of everything allows us to very quickly introduce something and then learn as we do this. And I think with that, I think our people are also learning because I wanted our people to experience something positive, something engaging, as you can see from the site. And we got some feedback early from some of our early users. They are saying that it's very intuitive. It looks like YouTube, something that they're familiar with. So that makes it a lot easier for us to warm them up to the idea of going digital, right? So I think that's important for us as we look at what kind of platforms to introduce.
Yeah, and that was the final question actually, is have you had any user feedback? But it sounds like you have had some feedback.
Yes, we have, yeah. So I think the feedback so far has been it's just easy to use. I think they like just the richness, I guess, and partly because of the available content. You're not going to a place where it feels like there's only a very few selection of content. So I think that makes a difference. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, we just got it over 10:30, and I think that's most of the questions answered. So I think we'll end there. Thank you very much, Danielle and Christian, for joining today and sharing more about this. For everybody,
Josh,
we'll share the recording. So we'll email the recording out to everybody who's signed up. And if you want a demo of the platform in longer than 30 minutes, I'll be more than happy to do this. You can email us at hello@thrivelearning.com or just message me directly. So thank you everybody for joining. Thanks, Christian. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you. Yeah. Have a good day. Yeah.
Thank you. Cheers,
Thanks,
everyone.
Josh.
Bye, everyone.